Hello and welcome to Monkey's Paper Palooza Craft Corner. Today we are going to start part 2 of our two-part series on the November 2018 My Monthly Hero kit. This kit had a beautiful advent calendar theme. It was a little different, so if you haven't checked out part 1, check it out. So first card I'm going to make is going to be another advent calendar card. And I've cut a piece of white paper. And now I am going to cut a piece of silver pearl paper, and I'm going to just cut with the die that came with the kit, the little advent calendar. I'm not going to use the background stamp like I did in the last video, so if you haven't checked it out, please check it out. But this time I'm going to do a little something different, because I showed you them in combo, but I wanted to show you just using the die and the little number stamps that come in the kit. So now that I have it cut, we are going to get our little panel here. And you see all the little flaps are already cut. You also get these little cutout stars and snowflakes and starbursts in there, and they're kind of almost embossed in there, which is kind of cool. So you still get a fun texture with it, even without the background stamp. So to do this, I'm going to take rhubarb stalk and cottage ivy, and I'm going to alternate our numbers. So I'm going to speed this up because this does take a little while, stamping each number on the little flaps. And to make it a little easier, you could do it singly or you can do it in groups. And that's when I'm going to start with the single numbers. I'm going to do them in groups. When I go doubles, sometimes I have to do one at a time, only because you need one number over and over again. So I'm trying to alternate the colors. So I'm starting with the red. Now I'm going to do the green and the other numbers. And look at that. Isn't that fun? And what's fun is with pearl paper, the inks actually seep into it and they almost get like a little pearl finish to them too. Which is kind of cool. So here I am, you see that I'm starting to have to double up numbers because now I'm reaching 10. And that's where it starts getting tricky. I mean, you can do group numbers when you have the singles, but when you have the doubles, you kind of have to repeat your numbers. So it doesn't really help for laying out. So sometimes you do have to do those singly. But advent calendars are really fun. And this kit was really fun too, because honestly, what is cuter than a little flap card during the holidays? I have seen people just do the little figures that are in it. They've done a mixture of the figures and the sentiments, which I'm going to do with this card. And then I've seen people that actually hand wrote inside little messages. If I had better handwriting, I would. I have horrible handwriting, so I wouldn't even trust that. But just think of the fun things your kids could do with it. They could put little notes in for their friends. You know, these cards are really cute for little Christmas cards for classmates. You know, really fun stuff. So have fun with it. It is sometimes hard to line the little tiny numbers. Especially when you have separated numbers and you want to try to make sure they line up together. Though it's okay if they're not totally straight. It makes it kind of more fun and whimsical, in my book, if they're not straight. Sometimes they do just slide a little bit as you're doing it, and it's hard to get them on the line. Unless you want to sit there and perfect it on the grid. But for the sake of time, I'm not going to worry about how straight they are, because I kind of like the little whimsicalness of it. Now we're getting into the 20s. We're almost done, people. This is a little more time consuming than just doing the background stamp and going with it. But it gives you another technique that you can use for a more simpler card versus the more elaborate with the background stamp. And you can do both. I have seen people do a lighter color for the background stamp and then put in black the numbers. So you can do both too if you wanted to. The possibilities are indeed endless with creativity, so be creative with it, have fun with it. And there's the last one, 24th. So now that we got these all stamped out, we are now going to take our little frame that we made in the last video. Someone did mention to me, they said you could use the die. Well, yes, we can use the die. If you put it on backwards, you can use it. My issue with that is I didn't want to get ink on my cutting die, because then if I cut and the ink was still on there, if I had white paper, it might damage my paper. So I figured if I did it this way, if I get ink on this, it doesn't matter. It's going to dry. It's not going to stay wet on there. Depending on what kind of ink I use, it could be pigment and it could stay on there. I just didn't want to play that game. And it doesn't take any more time to make this little die cut frame. Oops, sorry for that moving screen. Sometimes when I grab the stamp, I move my glass mat, but I'll fix it for you in a little bit. And here you see I'm putting the little sentiments in there, and I'm going to mix them also with the little pictures. But like I was saying, it doesn't take any more time to make the frame, and just cut it out. And you can keep this with your stamp kit. You know, that way, if you wanted to do it again, you would always have it. And it's just like a little kind of like, there, I'm going to fix this for you. Little template that you can keep on using over and over and over again. And you don't have to just sit there and worry about ink getting on your die. Because, I mean, like I said, I was just concerned that it was going to do that, and I didn't want to do that. Maybe it was me just being a little over concerned, but I have inked dies in the past, and there's just been a little residual, and it ruined a card, and I had to wipe it down again and do it again. I just didn't want to take that chance, especially since a lot of the pieces I work with are lighter color. So just a little thing that I felt was a safer method, because this thing I'm not going to use for anything other than stamping. So we're laying out these figures. Like you say, I kind of try to do a little combo of each. Have some little sayings inside. The last cards I made, I did just the little figurines. This time I'm going all out and I'm doing both. I also did them individually. This time I'm going to try to do them as a group. I might get some colors mixed, but it'll be alright. It'll be a fun little ombre effect if they do. There, I think that's the last little figure I'm going to put in there. So let me get my acrylic block. And we're going to just get them all on there. Whoops, I missed one. Come on, little figure. Alright. So we are going to now start with Cottage Ivy. And I'm going to just go around here and pick little things that I think would be really cute green. And we'll try to mix the colors. That way we have some fun underneath those flaps. I was going to do them all black or do them all red or green, but I said, you know what? Last time it was really fun doing multiple colors. And you see I did have some ink that kind of dropped in some areas, but that's fine. When we go over with the other color, being that majority of the colors I'm using are dark, it probably will not show. So just keep on going. Now I'm going in with rhubarb stock, and I'm going to just do the ones I think should be red. Like a candy cane should be red. The stocking. Oop, and some of them didn't come through, so we're just going to go through this one more time. A little bit more on there. And there we go. So now we'll do our next color. I'm sorry, I'm putting that in front of me. I have to see where I'm going. I'm trying to figure which ones do I want this color. Because I think I am going for the dandelion. because some of these items should be a golden yellow color, like the star and the bell. Or actually, no, the star, the candy, the ornament, and the candle. I didn't do a bell in this one. And now I'm going to do my last color, and I think that color is going to be Bahama Blue. This is a nice kind of icy blue, which is kind of fun. Oops, I missed some of them, it looks like. And actually, I think I did one more color after this blue. I'm trying to remember. I think it was the cocoa brown. Yes. I forgot the cutie pie. There we go. Alright, and there is our template. It's all done. So either you can do them individually if you want to really be precise and do different colors, or you can do like I did and do in group. So my trick to gluing this is you're going to go around the frame and glue it. So I'm going to use my Nuvo pen one more time because I feel that was the best glue to use for this, because I want the precise line, but I don't want to go over on the flaps. And you may, when you're gluing it, get some glue on there, and I did on this card, and I will show you that it's okay. It happens. It seeps into the flap a little bit. I wish there was a better way to do this other than gluing it, but even using Stick It or any other Stick It adhesive medium, you're going to get it on the flaps too. So it's kind of a hard situation where you can't really, I mean, you probably could use like a very thin tape if you have a double-sided adhesive tape. But other than that, it's kind of difficult other than glue. So you're just trying to put them in the flaps, try to line them up. I think when I put my finger under, that's how I got the glue where I didn't want it. Because I did have one that kind of stuck a little bit. Alright, so I'm going to let those dry, and while that is drying, I am going to put my sentiment in there. And I think I picked Make a Wish on it. And I'm going to do that in that same kind of ombre effect with the red and green. Since we have a lot of red and green in the front, so I figured I'd tie it into the inside. So now my little flaps are all ready to go and dried. So I'm just going to flap them up and test them. And see, there's the one that stuck. That's fine, it happens. Sometimes you get a little bit of glue that seeped. It'll be fine. And that one, I think it's not glued, it's just I have to get underneath that point without messing it up. But all the other ones are good. It's just that one little flap that didn't work well. That's fine. So I put this on a larger piece of paper only because while I was lining it up, I didn't want to try to have to worry about it being off a little bit and having to trim it anyway. So I just always do it a little bigger. I can figure I can cut down, but I cannot make it bigger. So it's easier sometimes to just go big and then cut after. So in the past, I cut off the edges because this die and background stamp are a little smaller than an A6 card. And someone did ask me what's the standard card size. I usually use A6. I like A6. They're easier to find envelopes for usually. But you can do A2. You can do any size you want. So this time I'm just going to push it up because I'm going to put a sentiment on the bottom. So I pushed it up so that I just have a little frame around all of it. And now I'm going to put my little sentiment in the front. And I'm just going to do it in the bottom corner. So that's why I left that this one this time. So we're going to get my precision press out. And that's the nice thing about this precision press. I can now do that after I put the panel on, which does save me a lot of guesswork later on. Because now I don't have to, and I put Be Merry again, I don't have to sit there and guess how low I have to go so that my top piece can go on, won't go over it and overlap because it's already on the card. So it is a nice little feature with that. discussed that in the past about how I feel it really has made stamping a lot easier because you don't have that hinge design. So you can put whatever thickness you need to put on there. So whether it's foamed up to the max or just slightly foamed, you can do. So adding iridescent or borealis pearls in the mixed colors. And I'm trying to find reds and greens, but I'm also going to take some of my white ones and embellish some of the snowflakes that are on this card. It's kind of hard to see them in this video, but there are these little cut out snowflake designs on this die, and I'm going to put them in the center of it because that way it gives them like a little center, which is really fun. And I'm just going to stick them on there. I should be using my stick it tool, but of course I'm using my fingers, which makes it a little bit more difficult. This time I just forgot to grab it. Instead of reaching over my video and grabbing it, I'm just going to do it with the hands the rest of the way. And I'm sorry that this video seems a little dark. We are in the middle of a massive snowstorm where I live, and it has knocked out some power, and it has also really been very dark today, and I'm just trying to get this video done so that you guys can have it. We've been having lots of power, just thus the weather, let it snow. And there you go. So for card number 2, I am going to use the background stamp again. And we are going to emboss this on it. And I'm going to do this in 2 little segments because I'm going to pre-make another piece for the end part of this video. So stay tuned. It's kind of a way to use your scraps. So yes, I'm making an extra piece, but I'm just trying to make a point when you have scraps what you can use them for, especially with these kind of cards and stuff. So I'm going to put this on. Oop. Trying to make sure my magnets don't get in the way as I put my background stamp in there, because it is a little bigger and you can't have your magnets in the way. So you have to find sometimes the perfect position. But there we go. I'm also sorry for any packages that have been delayed from our website. Like I said, middle of snowstorm, a lot of our post office has been closed, roads were closed. We've had trees down, power outages, so if your package is late, I'm so sorry. It's on its way, I promise. All right, so we're going to, now that we have this all inked up, put some snow embossing powder from Recollections on this panel. And I'm going to heat set that into a nice gloss. Get this matte out of the way. There we go. And I'm going to try to heat this so you can see. But it's kind of hard to see the white on white either way because it kind of just blends in. But we're going to heat it till we get a nice gloss to it. That way we can kind of do a resist technique on this one. I've been seeing a lot of these little ombre cards, and I wanted to show you an ombre card with some blended ink, just for something fun and different. Because honestly, there are so many different things you can do with this background. I've seen people that Copic color it too. It's really pretty. We're going to, like I said, we're going to do 2 pieces. So I'm going to line this up again, and I'm going to go sideways with this stamp this time, and I'm going to put a second little panel. And for this one, I think I'm going to use the gold embossing powder that came with the kit. That way I can showcase that, because I want to showcase all aspects of this kit as much as I can, so that way you guys can see what you can do with them. And there's that gold that came with it, and it's a beautiful gold. It has that metallic tint, just like the silver embossing powder they make. It has a beautiful little shine to it, which is kind of nice. And I'm actually kind of happy it came in the kit because I've been thinking about buying some of their gold because I love their silver so much that it was kind of nice that it already came in my kit, so I didn't have to buy it. Which they do sell it separately. So if you did not get the kit and you wanted to get that gold embossing powder, they do have them on the site also. In fact, always after a kit isn't put out, check the listings for like the embossing powders and inks, sometimes they add them to their site. So I'm going to trim this baby out quickly, and we are going to now take our distressed oxides. I'm using peeled paint and cracked pistachio because I want to give it kind of fun green background. So I'm just going to blend this in. As you see, look at that beautiful color with that cracked pistachio. I could almost do this whole panel in that and it would be gorgeous. But I wanted golden green in it too, to kind of go with the gold that is going to go into this card, because I just thought it'd be really fun. Last one I did a red panel and it was pretty, and I did a blue. So I wanted to show green. So like I said, if you haven't watched that video, there will be links above and at the end where you can watch the first one if you did not get a chance to. We're just going to do half of the panel of that color and we'll blend it in, because sometimes you have to go back over and blend it in. So I'm going to leave that there. And as you see, this green is a little bit more yellow, so it kind of gives a little goldness to it, which is kind of fun. I've seen people where they just did it softer going down, use lighter colors. I've seen them used with just the plain distress inks, not even the oxides. I just love the oxides. They spread so much better than the distress inks, I feel, only because they're kind of more creamier and they blend well. And of course, I'm limited on my colors. I need to get some more of the new colors that came out. He has so many more colors out. And I'm sorry for the jiggle. Apparently, when I blend, I am rough. I can't find a table that can withstand me. All right, I'm going to just go over the white with my cloth. Just make sure that white pops out more. And there you go. Isn't that pretty? So now, to break it up a little bit on the card, I am also going to put a frame around this. And I'm going to add, after I trim this, a little bit of silver pearl too, just to give it some little bit of interest to the panel. But I'm also going to put my sentiment on this card. And to do so, I think I'm going to use some vellum. So I'm going to leave this out. I'm just going to take my measurements. That way I know how big to make my second panel. All right, so here comes the silver. So the trick is you want to leave at least a ½ inch over what your card panel is. That way you get almost like a little bit of a ¼ inch barrier around. So always a good trick, because if you make it too thin, then you can't really see what's behind it. If you make it too thick, then it goes over your card form with. So I have this fun swirl vellum. I don't know quite where I got it. I think I got it at Hobby Lobby, because I got a bunch of patterns ones a long time ago. And I'm going to get the Bring Cheer stamp, and I'm going to put it almost in the center here. And I'm going to do that in the green gold embossing pattern. Now, like I said in the last video, heating this stuff, I would recommend going underneath. It is a very kind of light, grainy texture to it, and it tends to fly off. Now with vellum anyway, I would always suggest heating underneath vellum versus on top. You always get a clearer, crisper melt than you do on the top. But that way you get that pretty gold and green, because it blows off and then you end up having it not stick right. But I don't know if you can really see it in the video how pretty that gold green is, but it is really pretty. And if you heat, even on cardstock underneath, it will not blow off, and you'll get more of the granules of the gold and the green together. So just a hint, I did say that last video, but just in case you didn't see the last video, I want to make sure you get the same hint. So I cut that little piece of vellum into a little slit. Now I'm going to position it on my card panel, and I'm going to just flap it over the back so that I have no adhesive sticking on that part on there. And it kind of gives it a fun little interest. So I'm going to stick this onto this silver panel now that my desktop is cleaned off. You do not want to do this, of course, on a messy inked up glass mat, so always wipe it clean before you do your panels. And especially since I'm going to be putting this, I believe, on a white card form. Do not want to get ink all over it. So there's that, and there's my card form. And this time I am going to trim this down. And I'm not putting any craft foam this time. People are like probably going, where is the craft foam? She always uses craft foam. There's times when I say for simpler cards, don't worry about the craft foam. Now, here's a good thing about this type of trimmer when you have the wire guide is it's a little easier for you to see where you're cutting. That's one reason I do like that one. I also have a rotary one too that I love for bigger cuts. Now, I'm going to use some little gems that I got from Pinkfresh. This is part of the grab bag that she gave me when I ordered last time. We do also have a video on that. And I'm just going to use these golden kind of coppery brown ones that are really pretty just to give some little glitz to this card. Now I did notice that it was not liking my heat embossed areas, so it wasn't sticking to them. So I'm just going to put a little bit of two-way glue on that just to hold them down and use them like I would use a typical gem. And I don't think I'm going to put much more. I might put one, well, maybe not. Maybe I'll just leave it. But I'm going to put some more glue underneath the dots. That way it holds them down. And there we go. Isn't that a cute little card all by itself? I'm not going to put a sentiment inside. I'm going to leave it blank. That way someone can put their own little sentiment in it. Isn't that cute? And look at the texture in that vellum. But that's a fun little card there. Now, sorry this is halfway through there. We did end up losing power and part of my first clip, so I had to record halfway for the second part. I am basically just doing like an acrylic block inking, and I'm just going random with some of the little shapes and characters in there. I do like with these little figures and shapes to do some things like that because I think it makes a really fun background to your card. So I went in with the Santas, the candy canes, the trees, the angels. Now I'm doing some gingerbread men. I'm going to try to do the little reindeer now. There we go. And I'm doing this in the rich cocoa, the cottage ivy, the reverse stock, and the Bahama blue. Just to add some fun. And I'm going to bring in some dandelion. And I'm going to do some of the little golden figures, like the bell and the star. And I also did a little trick I like to do. I doubled my stamps on the other side. So now I'm coming in with the stars that were on the other side of the bell. So a quick way to use your acrylic block. Don't be afraid to use two sides. It does make it sometimes a little easier. That way you're not switching stamps all the time. So I'm going to trim this down to my standard size. And I have the little heart die. I was going to make a heart shaker card with it. I'm going to keep that little scrap. And see, there's my scraps. I'm going to save them for the end of the video. I was going to do a heart shaker. And I all of a sudden remembered I have this really beautiful stitched circle die that I got from, I don't even know where I got it from, online somewhere. Probably from AliExpress or one of these other ones. And it's kind of cool. It cuts out the center, but it leaves a beautiful stitch design around it. Isn't that fun? I don't even necessarily show you the details. See the little stitch around the scallop? It's really fun. And I'm going to save that piece too. And I'm going to make a fun shaker with this. Now, I was going to thinking about using white behind it and doing vellum. And I said gold with the vellum. And I decided I'd rather stick with the clear acetate. Only because I want to use some of our shaker card mixtures that I have on the site. Just to show you how much fun these pre-made shaker mixes are. You can use them as separate embellishments, or you can use them as shaker mixes, which is really fun, especially when you're making shaker cards. So check those out. They're on the site. I'll leave a link to this one as well as the other ones below. And I'm coming in with my Scotch tape. Someone said cut them out, use your craft foam and do it that way. And I usually do. I do know how to do that. It's just with this card, I just wanted a quick, easy shaker, and sometimes cutting the foam in the same place is kind of hard, especially when you cut in the places. And plus, a lot of the foam I have is just not thick enough, so I didn't want to play with that. I'd have to double it up. It made more work than it's worth. So here's that beautiful mixture. And this one, I can't remember the name of it, but like I said, we'll link it down below. But it has gold stars, matte green sequins, matte red sequins, and some beautiful iridescent and matte white. And it's kind of a beautiful vintage kind of Christmassy look to it. Isn't that fun? That way you have this fun shaker card. I was going to leave the frame around that gold frame, and the problem I had, and I'll show it to you later, is it was a little too big for my card form, so I was going to have to cut some off anyway. And I'm using a brown craft card form for this card because I wanted it kind of to be a warm, kind of vintage country Christmas card. Just very fun and whimsical and simple. Like I said, sorry for the darkness. Shadowy day today. I don't have any background light from the outside. I'm going to get that card form ready. There we go. And like I said, it was just a little too long. So the trick with that is I always pick a bigger panel for the back of my cards anyway when I make shaker cards, so I can always trim it down. Like I said earlier, it's easier to trim down than to make it bigger. So always never be afraid to use a bigger piece in the back part of your shaker card. Don't be afraid to use a bigger piece in back of your advent card. It does make it easier. And I'm taking a little piece of scrap craft and I'm going to make my sentiment flag. So we're going to make it towards the end here. And I'm using the ho 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 that came in the kit. And I'll get that lined up. And I'm going to do that in Cottage Ivy. But like I was saying, don't be afraid to overlap. It's always easier, like I said, to cut down than to make bigger. So always go over. It's better to go over than not have enough in my book. So I'm just going to trim that down and cut that. And I'm just going to put some more Scotch adhesive squares or Scotch tape squares if you do make that flag a little bigger. Now I'm going to just adhere this to the card itself. And here I am, I got the flag all ready. I'm going to adhere that to the bottom. Oops, my little corner flipped over. Let me fix that quickly. So we don't want that edge to bend downward. So let me wipe this down a little bit. So there's the shaker. Now to add some fun to it, I'm going to take my two-way glue and this time my little pick it up tool, and I'm going to add some pearls to this too, just to give it some fun interest. And I'm going to put some in between the little stamped images too, just to give some, like I said, more interest and more fun. Sometimes these little ink block ones can be really fun. You can do it in heat embossing too. If you want to sit there and individually heat emboss or add some areas that are heat embossed, you can too, which is really fun. Yeah, I think that looks good. And once again, I'm not going to put sentiment in. I'm just going to leave it alone. That way people can do their own things. Now let's talk about scraps. Now, when you're doing these things, sometimes you have duds. Sometimes you have scrap pieces from cutting. You might as well not waste them. So here's what I'm going to show you. Now you can buy pre-made tags. You can buy and stamp them on them. Or you can invest in a bunch of tag dies. And I have different tag dies I've collected over the years. Every time I see a tag one, I usually buy it, whether they're from Spellbinders, Stampin' Up, any of them. Just invest in some. Like this one, I had a scrap piece that kind of got messed up. It didn't heat emboss right. I don't know what happened, but parts of it didn't gloss up right. So you can do it standard like this. If you have a circle, just hole punch it, and voila, you're done. Put your to and from on the back, and you're done. Or you can die cut them out, like I'm going to do. But first, let me show you. You could do a little bit of distressed oxide with it and kind of ink blend it, and then cut it out and make a really fun inked tag for a gift. But here's a fun way in the holidays to use your leftover scraps. You can put these tags on a card and put a fun little sentiment on it and be done. Great way to make quick Christmas cards, because tags do make it fun. And see, I cut these little mini ones. Aren't those cool? Great way to get some scraps. Now I'm going to show you once again cutting one of these. You can leave it alone. Just use the embossing as the focal point of it. You don't always have to cover it up with that. So fun things. Now, I often like to do with my tags is make a vellum underlay or overlay. And you can make it bigger than that so it hangs over the bottom, which is really fun, and put your to in front and inside. Or you can make it the same size and use it as an overlay, just to mute down that gold. Isn't that fun? So have fun with your scraps. Use them for tags. Don't waste them. You might as well have fun with it. I often save a lot of my scraps and reuse them for something. It's a great way to reuse, make tags, have fun with Christmas and the holidays. So don't waste. So if you like this video, please check out the last uploaded video, also about this kit, as well as one that is specially curated just for you. And like always, we welcome you to like, subscribe, ring for notifications with this icon, as well as check out our website, as well as our fun things on Instagram and Facebook.